Hello, and a warm welcome back to English with Everyday Conversations at the English Cafe. I'm Maya, and I'm so excited to be here with you today.
And a hearty hello from me, Leo. Today, we're diving into a topic that's close to my heart, and I think it's crucial for anyone who's serious about mastering English, especially those of us who are already juggling a million things in our day-to-day lives.
You know, Leo, we often hear that consistency is key when learning a language. Practice every day, they say. But let's be real, our lives are packed. We have work, family, social commitments, and sometimes just finding a moment for ourselves feels like a luxury.
You've hit the nail on the head, Maya, and I think many of our listeners can relate. It's not just about finding the time. It's about making English a natural part of our routine without feeling like it's a chore.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to explore today. We're not just going to talk about how to build daily English habits, but also how to do it in a way that's sustainable and enjoyable.
And that's where the concept of self-compassion comes in. It's not just about pushing ourselves harder. It's about being kind to ourselves on this journey. Because let's face it, we're all human, and we're going to have days when we slip up or miss a practice session.
Absolutely. We need to learn how to pick ourselves up without getting discouraged. We need to learn how to celebrate our progress, no matter how small, and how to forgive ourselves when we make mistakes.
So we're going to talk about realistic strategies for incorporating English into our daily routines, even when we're short on time. We'll explore practical tips and tools that can help us build consistency without feeling overwhelmed.
And we'll also delve into the importance of self-compassion, how to cultivate it, and how it can actually boost our motivation and make our learning journey more enjoyable.
So whether you're a student, a professional, or just someone looking to improve your English skills, this episode is for you. We're going to show you how to build daily English habits that stick, with a healthy dose of kindness and understanding.
Get ready to transform your English learning experience from a daunting task into a rewarding and sustainable journey. Let's get started. So let's start with the practical side of things, Leo. We know consistency is key, but how do we actually weave English into our busy lives?
Right, Maya, it's not about finding hours in the day, it's about finding those small pockets of time that we can utilize. Think about your daily routine. Where are those moments when you can squeeze in a little English?
For example, many of us spend time commuting, right? Whether it's by train, bus, or auto rickshaw, that's valuable time.
Exactly. Instead of just scrolling through social media, try listening to a short English podcast or a news bulletin in English. You can even download audio lessons and listen to them offline.
I love that idea. And what about during our daily chores?
Perfect. If you're cooking, try listening to an English cooking show or a podcast about food. If you're doing laundry, listen to an audiobook. You can even label items in your home in English to practice vocabulary.
That's a great idea, Leo. Let's give our listeners a few examples.
Yeah, that would make it easier for our listeners to understand. Let's dive into the examples. For example, you want to label items in your kitchen. You can use the following vocabulary: refrigerator or fridge, stove or gas stove, oven, sink, countertop or kitchen counter, cupboard or kitchen cabinet, pots and pans, spice rack, cutting board, mixer or grinder, tea kettle, rice cooker, water filter.
For labeling items in your living room, use the following vocabulary. For television, television or TV. Sofa or couch. Coffee table. Bookshelf. Fan, ceiling fan or table fan. Air conditioner or AC. Remote control. Curtains. Rug or carpet. Pillows.
You can also label items in your bedroom. Bed, wardrobe or closet, dresser, lamp, sheets, blanket, alarm clock.
Do not forget the bathroom. Shower. Toilet. Sink. Mirror. Towel rack. Soap. Shampoo. Toothpaste. Toothbrush.
And of course, there are other general household stuff. Door, window, light switch, stairs, balcony, garden. Now, let's look at some tips for labeling. First, use sticky notes or masking tape for easy removal. Second, say the English word out loud as you place the label. Third, try to use the words in sentences throughout the day. Work on one room at a time to avoid feeling overwhelmed.
So we know some examples of incorporating English in our daily life through labeling. But how exactly does labeling help? Can you break it down for us?
Well, first and foremost, it's about vocabulary, acquisition, and reinforcement. By putting English labels on things you see every day, you're constantly exposed to those words.
Like putting a refrigerator label on my fridge?
Exactly. And because you're seeing it in its natural context, it sticks in your memory better. It's not just a word on a flashcard, it's the actual appliance you use.
That makes sense. And you said something about active recall?
Right. Every time you see the label, it forces you to remember the English word. That repeated recall strengthens the connections in your brain, making the word easier to remember.
So it's more than just passively seeing the word, it's actively retrieving it.
Precisely. And it's also great for pronunciation and speaking. As you put the labels up, say the English word out loud.
So sink, stove, mirror.
Exactly. And you can even try using those words in simple sentences. I'm washing dishes in the sink. I'm cooking on the stove. This helps you practice natural English phrasing.
Okay, I'm starting to see the benefits. But how does it help with comprehension?
Well, by consistently seeing the English labels, you start to associate the object directly with the English word, bypassing the need to translate from your native language.
So I start to think in English more naturally?
Exactly. It's like creating a mental English environment. And because you're learning words that are directly relevant to your daily life, it's practical and relatable.
And it sounds like a fun way to learn.
It is. It's a simple and engaging way to boost your confidence and immerse yourself in the language, even when you're not actively studying.
So what are some tips for our listeners who want to try this?
Start with the kitchen. It has a lot of items. Use sticky notes or masking tape for easy removal. Say the words out loud as you place them. And try to use those words in sentences throughout the day.
And maybe use pictures alongside the words for visual learners?
Great idea. And don't try to label everything at once. Work on one room at a time to avoid feeling overwhelmed.
This sounds like a really practical and effective way to improve English. Dear listeners, start labeling things today.
Yes, Maya. It's a simple step that can make a big difference.
Thanks for the great tip, Leo. That's really clever. And for those who enjoy reading, what are some tips?
Start small. Read a page or two of an English book or article before bed. You could even read English news headlines while having your morning tea.
And what about incorporating English into our digital lives?
That's crucial. Change your phone's language to English. Follow English-speaking social media accounts that you may find interesting.
And don't forget about speaking practice. That's often the most challenging part.
Absolutely, but it doesn't have to be intimidating. You can practice speaking to yourself in English while you're getting ready in the morning, or describe your day out loud as you're traveling.
And remember, the key is to tie English learning to something you already do every day. For example, listen to an English podcast while you have your morning tea, or practice speaking while you're walking to the bus stop.
And don't be afraid to experiment. Find what works best for you and your lifestyle. The goal is to make English a natural and enjoyable part of your daily routine.
It's about building those small, consistent habits that will eventually lead to significant progress.
Exactly. And remember, even if you only have 15 minutes a day, those 15 minutes add up over time. Consistency is the real secret. Now, Maya, we've talked about the practicalities of building daily habits, but let's be honest, that's only half the battle. The other half is being kind to ourselves along the way.
You're so right, Leo. I think this is where many of us tend to struggle. We're often very hard on ourselves, especially when we don't meet our own expectations.
Exactly. And that's where self-compassion comes in. It's about treating ourselves with the same understanding and kindness we would offer a dear friend who's going through a tough time.
But how do we actually do that, practically speaking?
Well, the first step is to acknowledge that learning a language is a process. It's not a linear journey. There will be good days, and there will be days when we feel like we're taking 2 steps back.
And it's okay to have those bad days, right?
Absolutely. It's perfectly normal to feel frustrated or discouraged sometimes. But instead of beating ourselves up, we need to learn how to reframe our thinking.
Can you give us an example?
Instead of saying, I'm so lazy I missed my practice session again, try saying, I had a really busy day today, but I'll make sure to get back to it tomorrow. It's okay, everyone has off days.
That's a much kinder way to put it.
And remember, celebrating our progress is crucial. Even the smallest victories deserve to be acknowledged. Did you understand a new word today? Did you have a short conversation in English without feeling too nervous? Celebrate that.
And what about when we make mistakes? Because we all make them.
Mistakes are inevitable. They're part of the learning process. Instead of dwelling on them, try to see them as opportunities to learn and grow. Analyze your mistakes, understand why you made them, and move on.
And I think it's important to remember that we're all on our own unique journeys. We shouldn't compare ourselves to others.
Exactly. Everyone learns at their own pace. What works for one person might not work for another. Be patient with yourself and focus on your own progress.
And don't forget the importance of self-care.
Absolutely. If you're feeling overwhelmed or burnt out, take a break. Go for a walk, listen to music, spend time with loved ones, do something you enjoy. Remember, taking care of your mental and emotional well-being is just as important as practicing English.
It's about finding that balance, right, between consistent effort and gentle understanding.
Exactly, Maya. It's about creating a sustainable and enjoyable learning experience. Because when we're kind to ourselves, we're more likely to stay motivated and achieve our goals.
So let's all try to be a little kinder to ourselves on this English learning journey. We deserve it.
Maya, to make this even more actionable for our listeners, let's talk about creating a daily English checklist. It's a simple tool that can really help solidify those habits.
That's a fantastic idea, Leo. It's like a visual reminder and a way to track our progress.
Exactly. So here's how our listeners can create their own daily English checklist. Identify your daily habits. First, think about your daily routine. What are those activities you do consistently? Commuting, cooking, reading, using your phone?
Choose your English activities. For each of those activities, decide on a small, manageable English activity you can incorporate. For example, commuting. Listen to a 10-minute English podcast. Cooking. Read an English recipe or watch a short English cooking video. Reading. Read one page of an English book. Phone use. Spend 5 minutes on a language learning app.
Make it specific. Don't just write "listen to English." Write "listen to a 10-minute English news podcast." The more specific, the better.
Keep it realistic. Don't overload your checklist with too many tasks. Start small and gradually add more as you get comfortable.
Create a visual checklist. You can use a physical notebook, a digital note-taking app, or even a simple spreadsheet. Create a list of your daily English activities with checkboxes next to them.
Check it off. Every time you complete an activity, check it off. This provides a sense of accomplishment and helps you track your progress.
Review and adjust. At the end of each week, review your checklist. Did you complete most of the tasks? If not, adjust your checklist accordingly. Maybe you need to make the tasks smaller or choose different activities.
Be kind to yourself. If you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Just pick up where you left off. Remember, self-compassion is key. And remember, listeners, this checklist is for you. It's a tool to help you stay consistent and motivated. Make it personal and make it enjoyable.
We encourage you to start creating your daily English checklist today. It's a simple step that can make a big difference in your language learning journey.
This sounds like a really practical and effective way to improve English. But Leo, speaking of starting things, we do struggle a lot with procrastination, right?
You're right, Maya. It's a common challenge, especially when learning a language. So let's add some motivation and anti-procrastination tips to our labeling strategy.
Great idea. How do we avoid putting it off?
First, break it down into small, manageable tasks. Don't try to label your entire house in one day. Start with one room, like the kitchen, and label a few items at a time.
That makes it less overwhelming.
Exactly. And set realistic goals. Tell yourself, I'll label 5 items in the kitchen today. Small wins build momentum.
And what about when we feel like we just don't have the motivation?
That's where finding your why comes in. Remind yourself why you're learning English. Is it for career advancement? To connect with people? To travel? Keeping your goals in mind can help you stay motivated.
I like that. And what about making it fun?
Absolutely. Turn it into a game. You can challenge yourself to label a certain number of items each day, or create a scavenger hunt with the labeled items.
That sounds like a great way to involve the whole family. But how can one play alone?
Well, you can write down a list of the labeled items in your home. Then pick an item from the list. Find the item and use it in a sentence that relates to your daily life. For example, if the item is refrigerator, you could say, I am going to get some water from the refrigerator. Repeat with the next item.
That's a seriously fun learning experience.
It is, and reward yourself for your progress. After you've labeled a certain number of items, treat yourself to something you enjoy, like a cup of tea or a short break.
And what about staying consistent?
Make it a habit. Tie labeling to something you already do every day. For example, label a few items while you're making your morning tea.
And what if we slip up and don't label anything one day?
Don't beat yourself up. It's okay to have off days. Just pick up where you left off the next day. Remember, self-compassion is key.
So, to recap, we're not just labeling items. We're creating a fun, engaging, and manageable way to improve our English, while also tackling procrastination and staying motivated.
Exactly. It's a win-win situation.
Thanks for the great tips, Leo. I'm even more motivated to start labeling now, and I hope our listeners also found these tips useful. So start today. And if you are liking this podcast, do hit the like button and subscribe to the English Cafe. We are going to come up with more fun and practical ways in the upcoming podcast sessions.
So Maya, we've explored the crucial connection between building daily English habits and, most importantly, cultivating self-compassion. This is a message we really want our listeners to take to heart.
Absolutely, Leo. Because while consistency is vital, it's equally important to approach this journey with kindness and understanding. It's not about rigid routines or punishing ourselves for missed days. It's about creating a sustainable and gentle learning experience.
And we've truly highlighted the importance of self-compassion. It's about acknowledging that learning a language is a process, with its natural ups and downs. It's about recognizing that we are all human, and we are all learners.
We need to actively avoid that inner critic that tells us we're not good enough or that we're failing. Instead, we need to cultivate a voice of encouragement and support within ourselves.
Think of it like this. Would you speak to a friend who is struggling the way you speak to yourself? Probably not. We need to extend that same courtesy to ourselves. We need to reframe our negative self-talk.
Instead of saying, I'm so terrible at this, try saying, this is challenging, but I'm learning and I'm making progress. Or, I missed a day, and that's okay. I can pick it up again tomorrow.
And celebrate every victory, no matter how small. Did you understand a new idiom today? Did you manage a short conversation in English? Acknowledge that. You're building something remarkable.
We've provided practical tips for incorporating English into various aspects of our daily lives. But the underlying message is to do it with a sense of gentleness and self-acceptance.
Remember, this is a long-term journey, a marathon, not a sprint. And self-compassion is not a luxury, but a necessity. It fuels our motivation, reduces stress, and makes the learning process more enjoyable and sustainable.
So we implore you, our dear listeners, to prioritize self-compassion as much as you prioritize your daily practice. Let go of the self-criticism and embrace a kinder, more understanding approach to your learning.
Start by identifying 1 or 2 small habits you can incorporate, but also commit to speaking to yourself with kindness. Acknowledge your efforts, forgive your mistakes, and celebrate your progress.
You are doing a wonderful thing for yourself. You are investing in your future, and you deserve to do it with compassion and understanding.
We'd love to hear about your experiences. Share your daily English habits and your self-compassion journey with us in the comments below.
And don't forget to subscribe to the English Cafe for more tips and inspiration. We're here to support you every step of the way with kindness and encouragement.
Thank you for joining us today. Remember, you're not just learning a language, you're building a new chapter in your life with self-compassion as your guide.
Until next time, keep those habits consistent and your hearts kind.